Man, the Warriors played awful, yet they were somehow in this game until the end. And as you see on the screen, fire everybody, including the referees, who made a terrible call that sent their coach to the locker room, later one of their stars to the bench, and they lost to the LA Clippers, who are actually playing decent basketball. Let's break this thing down.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
What are they going to say now?
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
How we feeling, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Warriors. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Breaking down a 103-102 loss to the Los Angeles Clippers in Inglewood. We're getting into all that came from this matchup. Also, at this point, we got to start talking decision day, January 15th. It's 10 days away. We got Mike Loginoff on the program today. He's got the Kawakami fire everybody up. I think he's going to do that every single time the Warriors lose to a sub-500 team. But Mike, they lose their coach to a horrific call that Snoop Dogg, who was on the broadcast today, Electric, gave us just wonderful Picasso painting the picture of how Steve Kerr was ejected from this game. But they showed the replay, and even, a novice basketball analyst that may or may not have partaken in some fun before the game, it clearly seemed that way. He was able to say that's a ridiculous call, and you never want to point to the refs opening segment, but 103-102, it's not the reason you lost the game, but technically it is.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's literally a 2-point difference, Chuck. That would have been the difference in a Warriors victory. And also, too, the play before that with the lack of continuation for Steph. I agree. Kind of complaining about the refs and commenting on the refs is not necessarily what won or lost this game for either side. But I kind of think we see it quite consistently with Steph and his lack of whistle, or just comparatively speaking to other stars like SGA. I mean, if SGA throws that up, is that a continuation? Probably, right? So I think that Warriors fans have grown frustrated with the lack of what feels like an even playing field with the Zebras. And, I think it's fair to call that out, especially when it was a 1-point game and they clearly missed a goaltend. So it's unfortunate, but I think there's some other things that we can get into tonight as well.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Chuck Walter and Mike Loginoff with you tonight. Steve Kerr ejected. Steph Curry fouls out with a minute to go after the Warriors pulled within 1 point, down by 10. And they had a chance, but you knew as soon as Steph went to the bench, it's like, okay, Clippers sink 2 free throws. It's a 3-point game. We need to win this in regulation, fellas, because we don't have the bodies to compete with the Clippers. The Clippers, who are missing James Harden, but had Kawhi Leonard and had Chris Dunn knocking down shots and just looked better than you for the majority of this night. And Steph had a pedestrian game from, his standards, especially shooting the basketball. Final numbers for him, he did have 27 points, but he was 9 of 23 and 4 of 15. And you just looked around the court and you said, who's going to carry this team in the final minute? It was Jimmy Butler who had the ball in his hands for the final shot, and it was a post-up, fade away, not even from the elbow, kind of like a corner J, and it was a complete air ball and a complete buzzkill to finish that game, man. It's very rare that you get crunch time minutes with no Steph Curry due to foul trouble.
Correct. I mean, and ultimately, too, that third quarter that the Warriors put up, and they had 13 points. If we had to point to one passage of play that probably lost them the game, I would say it was that third quarter. They just came out flat, and without Steph on the floor, they just literally couldn't generate offense. So that was definitely disappointing. But also, too, Jimmy's shot. I mean, if there's one thing that we've seen Jimmy do and do really quite well since he put on the blue and gold, I would say it's probably been his ability to pump fake and get to the line. So I figured just maybe we would see that because, you give Jimmy 2 shots up from the stripe. But I feel pretty confident that he's making at least one of those. So I thought that was surprising, especially with someone like Batum on him too. And you have Kawhi coming to help. So maybe you get them both in the air and there's just enough contact to warrant a free throw attempt. But, it's just disappointing. And it's been a lot of the same of what we've talked about. And also, Chuck, we got to call it out too. One, Happy New Year. And two, also, Chuck, I think we I think the Warriors have not won a game every time that we've done a post-game show together. So maybe there's some correlation there that implies causation, but it's just a lot of the same story in my opinion. You're seeing, though the Warriors looked pretty active on defense, which is what they've proven they can do. I mean, they're one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, but this team kind of is who they are now. They're 37 games into the season. They're one game above 500. They've squandered easy wins previously. And the same things that have been impacting them from the first few games of the season they're impacting them now. So, I mean, it really, to me, is, I don't want to kind of future trip here or get too eager about what happens in 10 days from now, potentially. But I think that's kind of where the Warriors need to look towards. They have 8 games at home upcoming. But I think the real step change function is going to come after they're able to move some pieces.
NBA championship teams aren't relying on Moses Moody to get extremely hot and Al Horford to knock down more than 50% of his threes and Will Richard to have a big game and Pajemski to do big things. Like, they're just asking guys that aren't necessarily PT peers? Is that what Dick Vitale calls them? Prime time players, maybe little PT peer. Like, they just don't have enough. We said that for a while now, and Kerr's rotations don't help. And I mean, the anti-Kerr crowd almost got their dream tonight with Terry Stotts leading the troops to victory. But it didn't happen at the end of the day. I would say that the addition of Guy Santos really energized them tonight and has been energizing them pretty much every time he comes in the last 2-3 weeks.
And I mean, and the Clippers are big. They just are, right? With Zubac, with Brook Lopez. I don't care how old he is. He's still a behemoth out there. I mean, Kawhi's no small player. I mean, Chris Dunn's pretty big for a guard. John Collins, tall and athletic. So having Guy out there, I think, allowed the Warriors to have a little bit more of a puncher's chance from a size perspective. But I mean, it really is, to me, Chuck, just looking towards the roster construction now, because it's, with Moses Moody, we're in year 5. It's pretty clear who he is. I think he's a fringe rotation guy who will be in the NBA for a long time, because was incredibly active on defense today, but couldn't hit the broadside of a barn when his teammates are generating open looks for him. And also, too, whenever he has the ball in his hands, he's never confident dribbling the basketball. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I like Moody. I like his competitive edge. I like the way he competes. I like the way he gets dirty on the ground. I like the way he competes on the defensive end. I like the way he tries to stay active on the glass. But, I mean, he can't shoot. He can hardly dribble. I don't want it to be like a Stephen A. Smith, soundbite on Kwame Brown here, but
Mario Chalmers, lock him in a closet.
Yeah, he has small
without
hands.
a basketball 15 feet in sight.
But I mean, this is the thing, though. It's like he has a fast break, kind of a secondary break. You're a shooting guard, and you pick up the ball on the wing. Try and make a move. Try and get to the hoop, and that's the difference of the dynamic that Melton brings to the team versus a Moses Moody, right? Yeah, Melton hasn't been shooting the ball great from deep, but I mean, let's cut the guy some slack. He tore his ACL, 13 months ago. I think that's more about just getting his playing legs under him and getting adjusted to the speed of play and the rate of play, which I'm confident he will. But his ability to get to the hoop and create off the bounce is what you like to see out of a shooting guard, right? Someone who can be a secondary ball handler and create for others and get to the rim. Moses Moody has not proven at any instance of his career to be able to do that at a starting caliber level in the NBA. So if we're pushing ahead and projecting ahead, it wouldn't surprise me if Moses is on the block as well come January 15th.
And if you're looking at Moses 13, you're looking at Kuminga 24, you're looking at just those two alone. I mean, you're talking $37 million. There's a few different ways you can change the roster. It doesn't have to be just one move. You could get multiple players that you just feel like are upgrades at both positions. Anything at this point is going to be an upgrade from Kuminga because he's not playing.
He's not playing.
Like, there's no really debate there. Like, what we're getting from Kuminga now, not his fault, obviously. He's not getting minutes. So what you're going to get is going to be better than what you have now at that position. Then if you upgrade Moody as well, you could go, 2 for the 30-something million dollars. And that's the Herb Jones and Trey Murphy route that so many people have talked about, but that's closer to like $50 million. But let's talk some options. The show continues after this.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
Today's episode is brought to you by America's #1 sportsbook. Fridays already feel different during basketball season. FanDuel's making them even better, everyone. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel's giving fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. You don't have to be 21 to enjoy this one. Actually, maybe you do. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. You open the FanDuel app, you got boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and to make a move before the window closes and the weekend starts. So before tip-off on Fridays, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Quo. You want help with your business? Quo is the place to go. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business, and we think there's got to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications, because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. You can text and call from one shared business number. Nothing's going to get missed. AI is going to help you out. It's no surprise that Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnba. That's QUO.com/lockedonnba. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, let's get back to the program. All right, Mike, what are we going to do? This team obviously needs some serious help. You don't beat the Clippers. You've lost to most of the good teams you played this year. You lost by 40 points. Yeah, you've lost to bad teams. You lost by 40 to the Thunder when Steph didn't play. So that's what your team looks like if a hamstring is tweaked again in the postseason this year. You just need more dogs. I've been playing that stinger for like 6 months. You need to be more like a dog. They need more good players. And we said it before the season, the trio of Podziemski, Kuminga, and Moody, that was the village. They were the villagers. I mean, I hate to be mean, but they've been the village idiots. Like when you're looking at it from that perspective, like they just haven't been good enough. And that was kind of your X factor. And now all of a sudden, if those three aren't good enough, you got to find better three.
Exactly. And I mean, Chuck, let me ask you a question too, is who would be, so there's like the, on your wish list, right? There's like the reach. It's like you're applying to college, right? Like your reach schools, right? For me, that was basically anywhere that had to be above a 3.0. But, reaching is, the Giannis's of the world, the ADs of the world. It's like, okay, yeah, if you can get one of those guys, you just take the swing and see how it goes. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. I mean, I'm not as high on AD, frankly. I'm just not. I think he's just a little bit too injury prone. I think he's been available in the playoffs, but I'm just kind of like, is that really the kind of a player that we need right now? I don't know. Giannis, if you can get your hands on him, you take him, obviously. I don't think the Warriors are getting Giannis. How do you feel about AD?
I like AD from a ceiling perspective, which is how I'm looking at this entire thing. I'm looking at who are ceiling raisers, because that's where the Draymond Green conversation gets brought up for me. When you consistently look better with him off the floor, it just screams to me he's not much of a ceiling raiser at this point, and he's expendable. When Steph Curry's off the floor, it's a completely different team. Like you play Steph Curry against the Thunder, you got yourself a chance, potentially. I mean, the Hornets beat him by 20 tonight, so catch him on the right night. Anyone has a chance, apparently. But you play Draymond Green, you don't have a chance in that game. He's a nice complimentary piece at this point, but he's just not the player that he once was. And so with that being said, you just need dudes that are ceiling raisers, that with a minute left, you can give them the ball, they can get you a bucket down low, they can block a big shot on defense. Whereas, Podziemski's coming in for a double on Zubac because you're too small. Anthony Davis can hold his own down there. So the thought of him healthy, yes, I like it. But again, I don't have a crystal ball. He could easily. And what's his contract like? Do you have him for 2 or 3 years after this?
I think it's
2 years.
I think it's this one and one more.
Okay. So you're putting him on the exact same timeline as Curry, and you're just taking. I compared it to the roulette table, man, where you're throwing it on green. It's like, yeah, you're going to go home with a lot of money and potentially a ring if it's perfect, because he's still someone that can give you 28 and 10 every night. The issue with him is he's been street clothes. He's been Mr. Designer outfits, and you just don't know. Trey Murphy's going to be on the floor to where you're going to have a wing and you're going to have someone that, worst case scenario, you ran into some bad luck. With Anthony Davis, it's like worst case scenario, we knew it. Like, why would we have expected any different?
Why would you go for an injury prone veteran who's in the twilight of his prime, some would say past his prime, to pair alongside a team that's already the second oldest in the NBA? That's kind of how I feel. Like Giannis feels like more of a kind of, championship window extender. AD feels more kind of what you said of, okay, can we catch the lightning in the bottle here with this move? So I'm also lukewarm on AD. I think where you're going directionally with the Trey Murphys of the world is probably the right place, though I don't know realistically. I think.
Are we sure they want to trade him? That's very important to this whole matter.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know. One, I don't know if they want to trade him, and two, also it's like beyond. I also don't know if the asking price for Trey Murphy is going to be reasonable. And so the funny thing is, and again, this is just us having a chat and, Can
I throw this at you real quick though, just to jump in real quick? Cause I was on a Spaces tonight, and someone on the Spaces, he got laughed out of the room, said that it would take 3 first-round picks to get Trey Murphy.
Probably.
In my mindset, what? Who do we think Trey Murphy is?
I mean, I think it'll probably take 3 first because he's the exact player that you need in this day's NBA.
Then Jonathan Kuminga is not a real asset if it takes 3 first-round picks plus Jonathan Kuminga. I mean, I thought, according to these anonymous scouts, he's the best asset in the league. And you're telling me that he plus 3 first-round picks is enough to get Trey Murphy?
I mean, maybe then that's when you package in Moody and you get Herb Jones too, right? Who's a step up over Moody. So like maybe in that situation, but I think that the asking price from New Orleans will be almost too high, that it's not a reasonable overpay. But it wouldn't surprise me because what you just said, right? Does New Orleans want to trade him? Why? They don't have to trade him, right? They have to want to get rid of him. And so that's where, for me, thinking about it from that perspective, it probably will take at least 3 to get Joe Dumars to part with him, because Joe Dumars has also proven to be somewhat irrational when it comes to making trades and making moves. So that's kind of like that's one bucket. But the funny thing is if I think about MPJ, right? Because looking at today's game, what's the biggest thing that I said, caused a loss, besides the refs' terrible goaltending call. But there was that third quarter where the Warriors could not hit the broadside of a barn. I think at one point
in the game, dude. And the first.
Yeah, they went. I think there was a stretch.
I got the numbers.
0 for 14 or 0 for 15. They need
7 of 25 from the floor, 2 of 12, shooting splits of 28 and 17 in the first quarter. So of course you're down 12.
And so you just need someone else on this team who can reliably put the ball in the bucket, right? And so that's where MPJ gets a little more interesting to me than a Trey Murphy. MPJ concerns really end up on the defensive end, as well as his injury history. You kind of pray that Rick can, take care of him and keep him healthy. But MPJ's playing at an all-star level. You see the what he's capable of on the offensive end in Brooklyn when they're running the offense through him. That's really encouraging. You think about a kind of a tandem there of Jimmy, Steph, and Michael Porter Jr. That's kind of exciting. And you think about having uh, Draymond and Jimmy on the defensive end that can help kind of cover up some of Michael Porter's maybe. I think he's a capable defender, right? But also, I think he kind of picks and chooses his spots. I understand that. So I think having Jimmy and Draymond can kind of help, I think, cover up some of the ugly sides of his game on the other side of the ball. But I mean, I think he's the player that the Warriors really have to go after. The more we watch this team, the more we watch their inability to put the ball through the hoop. Sure, you have injury concerns with Michael Porter, but he's probably going to be an all-star in the Eastern Conference this season, right, with how he's playing. And
100%
also,
deserving.
yeah, 100%. And I think, Chuck, the other thing, though, is to go back to what you were talking about with regarding, the Pelicans and Trey Murphy. Why would they want to get rid of him? I think Brooklyn has more incentive to get rid of MPJ than New Orleans does Trey Murphy. And I think packaging Kuminga, Moody, or Kuminga, Healed, and picks to Brooklyn with all those young players that they have, because Kuminga is still 23, right? And so you're still packaging him with guys who are his peers from that standpoint, right? You can kind of say, we'll give you the keys and let's see what you can do. I think that makes more sense from an organizational perspective than shipping Kuminga down to New Orleans to go, be the Santa Cruz Warriors 2.0 alongside Jordan Poole and Kevon Looney, right? Like, you don't need another Warriors light somewhere else in the league. So I think just organizationally, that makes more sense to me from, who benefits, cui bono, what's the incentives. So I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I think your logic is 1,000% right on the Nets being it'd be a more logical decision from their end. I mean, you think about what they're trying to do, that they don't have everything they need in house unless you really believe that they're young guys like Yeoman and Powell and Saraf, if that's his name, all those dudes that they have that are super young, Claxton, that any of them are going to turn into franchise players, but they all just look like pieces, at this point. They're really young. I mean, Yeoman may be good, but most of those dudes are really young. They need just some more assets. And if they could flip Cam Johnson into 2 first-round picks, Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody, like that's when you look at it from that perspective, it's not the worst thing in the world. Unless they really want to build around MPJ as like their number 2 and try to get number 1 in the lottery or something like that. I mean, Porter's still young enough, but no, I think it would make sense for them to entertain that deal. And again, like giving up Moody and Kuminga and whoever else it takes to make the money work, I don't think it's going to hurt you that much, because you still got guys like Gary that are getting plenty of minutes. Gee's stepping up in the minutes that he has. Trace is coming out there. Like, consolidating isn't the worst thing in the world. It's just how valuable are your first round picks. Dunleavy's been pretty decent with the spots that he's been given in terms of who he's drafted. We've yet to see him as the main guy for any sort of a lottery pick. And if you give those all away, the other option is, you take on Michael Porter Jr., you take on his contract, and then in 2 years when you're tanking, a championship team wants Michael Porter Jr., and you just get those picks right back.
And he's going to be a viable option because he's, I think, 27, right? So he's hitting the peak of his prime. So assuming he stays healthy, then you have another asset. You have other capital that you can use. So yeah, I agree. And also too, seeing some comments here in the chat, thinking about just even lineup construction, right? Like, let's say they do get MPJ, fingers crossed, right? That would be my favorite Christmas gift, is if the Warriors can get their hands on MPJ. But think about that lineup of even just Steph, Melton, Jimmy, Michael Porter Jr., and then Draymond, right? I mean, that's from a defensive perspective. You have playmakers in Dre and Jimmy. You have instant offense in Steph and MPJ. You have a secondary ball handler in Melton and a point of attack defender for the guards. So I think that lineup. And the other thing too is MPJ's 6'10". He's not a small forward. He plays small forward, but he's not small by any
rebound,
means.
Man.
And he rebounds. He brings length. He brings athleticism. So it kind of fits the Warriors' needs from that perspective. Because also too, I've been saying this all year. I've been really high on Quentin. I think we were discussing this with regards to how can you kind of keep Al and Draymond healthy over the course of an 82 game season for the playoffs. And currently it's for the play in, but it's thinking about it from the perspective of, can you throw QP out there long enough to kind of cut down the minutes they have to play? Can TJD step in there and play 5 to 10 minutes a game for that exact same reason? I think yes, in the right lineups and the right construction. And so that's where then you kind of say, I mean, unless the Warriors go out and make another move for a center to kind of replace Trace in that situation and kind of roll with Quentin and now and whoever else they can pick up. But I think that realistically, you probably can survive with Quentin and TJD until the playoffs come around. Then you start ramping up Al and Draymond more. But something else too that, I mean, this, I'm a huge Draymond guy. And I mean, I thought tonight he played pretty well, had 12 assists tonight. But I would be remiss to not, eat some crow here, because you were saying this multiple times this season about, hey, is this team better without Draymond, right? And I think I'm going to agree with Marcus Thompson was talking about this a little bit of like, is Draymond better off as kind of like your Swiss Army knife tool where like, okay, because you see how much faster they look when Gary's in that short roll, right? He takes one dribble, he's either going up and finishing, or at least trying to, or he's kicking out, right? He looks pretty good in that tic-tac-toe spot. And so then you think, does it make sense to, you kind of use Draymond as a specialist, right? Oh, you're playing Şengün, go lock him up or at least make his life hell. You're playing Wemby, do the same. You're playing Jokic, do the same. Because I don't think there's any player in the NBA right now that you can say is able to give some of the top offensive players in the league fits the way that Draymond can. And I think that still has immense value, especially in a 7-game series. The issue is getting to that 7-game series in the playoffs, right? And so it's that kind of chicken and egg bit. So I don't know. I've been musing for a while here, but I'll hand it back over to you.
Yeah, man. I guess one thing that I wanted to say real quick is Dillon Brooks is having an awesome year for Phoenix, man. He's been really good. If Draymond just had that sort of offense, like he's the perfect player for the Warriors, truly. I mean, minus all the stuff that wouldn't allow him to play with Steph Curry, that would kind of be important. But aside from that, in terms of just like production and the way he plays, like he's great isolation. He's strong. He gets under team's skin. Like that's what Draymond's doing so well. He's still getting under the star skin. Just at this point in the season, I don't think people care enough to get under their skin. We're in the dog days of the season, January 5th. So anyways, let's get into a trade from the East real quick that I want to talk about that is now on the table, a little rumor. We'll continue some of the Warriors conversations. We'll take a look through the box score and the notes, and we'll tie a ribbon on a loss to the Clippers. Brutal loss. Game the Warriors had a chance to win in the final seconds, and it ended with an air ball. We'll be right back.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
All right, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building. The energy, the crowd, that first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where Gametime comes in. The Gametime app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets. It's fast, it's simple, and without the guesswork. Seeing the view from your seats, very nice. The closer you get to game time, the cheaper your tickets are going to be. There's no surprise fees, so you just take the guesswork out, make it easy, and download the Gametime app. Create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app today and get in on the action.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
You see, I want to say it was Steinlein, but don't quote me on it. It was one of the NBA reporters. You see who they're projecting Trae Young to potentially be traded to, or there's serious talks?
Bucks?
Washington.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know if it would be a deal surrounding basically they would get McCollum's expiring contract and have him off the books. And then they would get maybe Koulibaly in that deal. And then maybe Whitmore and some first round picks or something like that. But I think the picks would probably be the play, just trying to move him for something and get that expiring deal. But I don't know why the Wizards would do it, honestly, from their end. It's kind of like, well, what are you trying to do with Trae Young here? But Trae Young and Trae Johnson on the same team would be fun, but I don't think they'd be a very good defensive team.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Hawks have been pretty disappointing, but hey, knowing the Warriors, Dyson Daniels will come in and put down 35 in a couple weeks when they play. So I'm looking forward to watching that bloodbath because
man, great defender Dyson Daniels is, but he's got to work on that jump shot.
Yeah, he gets out in transition, that's for sure. But I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker will probably have a career night.
Why didn't the Warriors look at him in the offseason? I mean, the guy was available that you needed. It was Nickeil, man. He would solve some issues.
He would be perfect. I mean, he's basically like another DeAnthony Melton, but probably more reliable from a health perspective because Melt's just been up and down for the past.
Doubles his offensive production.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the Trae Young thing, I think Trae's moment in the sun is probably past. And that's where guards go to die is Washington with Jordan Poole and CJ McCollum and maybe Trae Young next. But I'm not too bullish on Trae Young changing any franchise's prospects or futures.
This comment comes in, the roster's fine as is. This is currently a championship roster. I don't know how you can watch this team and say that. It's not. They're trying to make fringe role players into rotational pieces. And if there's one thing that we've seen this team do, it's be consistently inconsistent, right? I mean, Moses has that great game in New Orleans and has a stinker tonight, right? If Moses just makes 2 more jump shots out of your starting shooting guard, which you hope, he would do because it comes in his job description and his job title of shooting guard. If your shooting guard can't shoot, that's an issue. And if you look at the other pieces around, I mean, we have, how many millions of dollars are burning a hole in the bench? Buddy Hield, where the hell's he been, all season long? And that's someone that he won you game 7 last year in Houston, and he played good the entire series for the most part. He won you many games last year to get you in a spot to compete with Minnesota in the second round. You lost that completely this year. Moody just hasn't taken that leap. Pods hasn't taken that leap. Kuminga's not even receiving a minute. So the entire reason to be excited entering this year per Steve Kerr was the continuity. It was like, I like this group, and the guys that you needed to like even more than last year in order to contend, you don't like them more than last year. You like them less than last year. And for that reason alone, you better have had that same mindset last year of this team could win a championship. Because if you thought they couldn't last year and think they can this year, you're crazy, because this year's team is not as good as last year's team. They're not. And it's, again, I think the one diamond in the rough from a roster construction perspective has been our friend Will Richard, who I think has been a very pleasant surprise. He just kind of always puts himself in the right place, I feel like, to make plays. Even that loose ball that it was kind of tipped around offensive rebound, he's just kind of in the right place, takes a dribble, passes it to Melt in the corner, Melt knocks it down. It's like just little things that the team needs that kind of he makes those just winning plays, I feel like. But ultimately, I mean, look into the next 8 games. They have a long homestand. And hopefully the Warriors are able to come out of that homestand. I don't know, 6-2? How many until January 15th? 8 games, right? Don't they have 8 games? I think so, yeah. The countdown begins. Yeah, what if they kept him? What if they kept Kuminga? Oh, I don't think there's not a chance. Oh, how many games until Jan 15th? No. We've seen crazier things. No, he's gone. He's gone. Stamp it. Hopefully we on the West Coast. Will we see him play again? I don't think so. Okay. I don't think so. I think that's why him and Buddy. The saga's just been so weird that I wouldn't put it past him if 2 games before he was traded, he just came in there and scored 17. But I think at this point, yeah, I think the writing's on the wall that this thing is signed, sealed, and delivered, probably with a handshake agreement under the table.
Hopefully. I would love to see
Blazers are a name that's come up.
Jeremy Grant would be interesting.
I'd love to take Tamani Kamara somehow, but I don't think
they wouldn't get rid of
him
Kamara.
up, right?
Are you kidding me? They would not get rid of Kamara. I wouldn't get rid of Kamara.
No, I wouldn't. That'd be stupid.
I mean,
but some teams are stupid. You just gotta call all the stupid teams, you know.
Yeah, well, there you go. Make the
Charlotte's playing Liam McNeely. Stupid. He stinks.
Well, hey, LaMelo.
LaMelo he's a fun watch, man. He'll make some dynamite passes, but man, he'll just dribble off his foot every once in a while, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? But the one-legged threes are fun, and Brandon Miller's playing some elite ball for them, so they're figuring it out. Atlanta, they're obviously a talking point with the Trae Young thing. That's kind of one of the first names that have been brought up to trade a player. Ja Morant, you would have to assume may be out there. Kawhi Leonard is a name that I think is actually really interesting, but with all the legal things going on, behind the scenes, it's like hiring a coach with a show cause.
I mean, it's also remarkable that
worked out for Bruce Pearl and Auburn. What?
It's remarkable that they're just letting him play too. There's clearly, it seems like there's smoke and fire there, but I'm not a lawyer. But I will say that the trees at the Intuit Dome they looked lovely. They looked like they did a lot with that sponsorship money.
Yeah, seriously. Final things I wanted to get to, run through the notes real quick, see if I missed anything. I had like 9 comments about Snoop Dogg. He was just he was great, man.
Cookies and cream.
Yeah, took his cookies and cream, opened up a cookie store. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, Snoop? But again, that call was terrible. It clearly hit the backboard and was a goaltend. Steve Kerr obviously leaves the game. Terry Stotts coaches. Gee gives him good minutes. Curry fouls out with a minute left in the game. Kawhi Leonard was the star of the show for this one. He had 24 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, couple of blocks. He was just really good for them. And then Dunn had 16. Kobe Sanders had 20. John Collins had 18. Zubac had 10. They just had more dudes that could beat you tonight. For the Warriors, it was really Butler. It was Curry. And then GP2 had a really good night. He's been playing pretty good basketball the last few weeks, honestly. And the Warriors ran out 11 once again as compared to the Clippers 9, which goes to show you, I mean, you can win games with 9 dudes running out there sometimes, Steve Kerr. And he shortened the bench today as compared to normal. And this is just life as a Warriors fan right now. The Forrest Gump's box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Today, they get a bad shooting performance from Curry. They get a good game from Jimmy Butler, but just not enough firepower down the final 60 seconds of this game. Loginoff, thank you for joining. You have any final thoughts of the people on the way out the door?
No final thoughts, but give Chuck a follow on the TikTok. Give your boy right here a follow on the Twitter on X at _the logpod. But always a pleasure, Chuck. Go W's. Another sad loss, another disappointing loss. It feels like SF Giants baseball from, I believe it was a 2012 season, where it just feels like torture. It's like the team is good enough to watch and they're bad enough to be incredibly frustrating. But you know what? We'll be there every night. We'll have these shows, hopefully with a win on the front end of them.
What year Giants did you say that was?
I think it was the 2012 was a torture year, because 2010
about a decade later. I think 22 they won like 107, but no, 21 they won 107. 22 they had a pretty torturous year where it was like Slater and Flores.
Well, they won the World Series though in 2012. It was just like torture. Every game was a nail biter.
Gotcha.
But this
that's the year they beat my beloved Cincinnati Reds on the way to World Series championship. Cincinnati had kegs tapped just down the entire street. They were going to have a massive block party, and San Francisco just came in after Cincy took 2 at, I guess it was probably AT&T at that point. Giants coming to Cincinnati win all 3. Those kegs are still in the tabernacles down in Cincinnati. They still haven't tapped those things because they haven't won anything since. I promise you that. And I saw how much fun it is, with these Warriors championship parades with everyone down on Broadway or down on front, on top of signs and everything. There ain't going to be any of that in my hometown anytime soon. I can promise you that. But Warriors, can they get another? That's the big question. How are they going to get another? It's a pretty logical belief right now that we have, but when you've tasted success so many times over a decade span, until it's truly 1,000% done, you're going to wish for success.
There's a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance. Locked On Warriors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. See ya.